Imagine waking up each morning with the clarity and strength of a Stoic. Before the chaos of the day pulls you in, before worries and distractions take over your mind, you have the chance to sharpen your spirit, to train your character, to shape your life with wisdom and determination. The words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus are not just ancient quotes. They are weapons to face each day with resilience, with focus, with mastery over yourself. You can't control what will happen today, but you can decide how you will respond. Will you waste the morning on trivial thoughts? Or will you take control of your mind from the very first moment? These 10 Stoic meditations are not just meant to be heard. They are meant to be internalized, to be applied, to transform the way you see life. Because real change doesn't happen overnight. It lives in the small habits you build each day. And it all begins here, in this moment, with this decision, to train your mind like a true Stoic. Before we begin, I want you to do something powerful. Go to the comments and write, "Today I begin again," with clarity and purpose. It's not just a phrase, it's a declaration, a commitment to yourself. By writing it, your subconscious will take note, and you'll begin to program yourself for real change. Never underestimate the power of words. Write, repeat, feel. Because from this moment on, you begin to forge an unshakable mindset. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Begin with direction, not motion. Imagine waking up in the middle of the ocean. There's no wind, no map, no sound, just water in every direction. You have a boat, yes, but no sail, no rudder. And unless you choose a direction, the waves will choose one for you. Most people live their mornings like that, adrift in small decisions that seem harmless until months pass, and they wonder how they drifted so far from themselves. But what if each morning was your opportunity to plant an anchor and raise a sail? Setting a goal is not about ambition, it's about clarity. It's a quiet act of rebellion against distraction. A declaration that you are not here to merely exist, but to move forward with meaning. In the Stoic view, intentions are not just preferences, they are principles, values in motion, the North Star you steer toward when the storm comes. Without them, you react. With them, you respond. So don't ask, "What do I have to do today?" Ask, "What do I want to build today within myself?" Let that intention be your compass, and you'll begin to move with purpose rather than pressure. It doesn't have to be grand. It can be something as simple as, "Today I will speak with kindness before I speak with certainty." Or, "Today I will move my body not to punish it, but to honor it." The beauty of intention is not in the size of the goal, but in the sincerity behind it. A true goal isn't about checking a box, it's about living in alignment with what matters most. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." So choose your port, even if it's just one small island on the horizon. The mere act of choosing gives shape to the day, and the shape of your days becomes the shape of your life. And when the noise arrives, as it always does, you'll return to your intention like a monk returns to breath. Not perfectly, not without effort, but with grace. Because that intention is your anchor, and it will hold. Here's one small technique. Each morning, before you check your phone, write down just one line. Not a to-do, not a task, but a sentence that describes how you want to live that day. Something that aligns your values with your actions. Do this not as a chore, but as a ritual. A moment of clarity before the world speaks. A quiet reminder that the day ahead is not just happening to you, it's waiting to be shaped by you. You don't need motivation. You need direction. And direction is born the moment you set a clear intention and mean it. Number 2. hold the line. Some days, motivation carries you like the wind, and on others, the sky is still, the air is heavy, and nothing moves. In those moments, what keeps you going isn't inspiration. It's the quiet, stubborn force of discipline, the ability to hold the line. Imagine a stonecutter striking the same spot 100 times. The rock doesn't break on the first blow, or the second, but he keeps striking, not because he sees the crack, but because he believes in the work, in the process, in the unseen shift beneath the surface. Discipline is not dramatic. It's not loud. It's the quiet decision to get out of bed when you don't feel like it, to stay with your practice when no one is watching, to repeat the small act that, over time, builds a life of strength and clarity. In Stoic thought, discipline is the backbone of freedom. Not the kind of freedom sold in ads or written in slogans, but the deeper kind, the freedom from impulse, from chaos, from the pull of every passing mood. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. You may think discipline is a cage, a restriction, a loss of spontaneity, but it's the opposite. It's the foundation that allows you to create, to grow, to endure. Because the truth is, you will not always feel like it. There will be days when your energy fails you, when doubt creeps in like fog, when the temptation to quit feels stronger than your original reason to start. But if you've chosen your path with care, if your actions are rooted in purpose, then each act of discipline becomes an act of self-respect, a way of saying, I'm still here, I still believe in this. Think of it like training a muscle. At first, the weight feels impossible, but over time, as you return again and again, the effort becomes strength, and the strength becomes who you are. A simple practice: choose one small promise to yourself each day, and keep it, no matter how small. It could be 5 minutes of writing, a walk without distraction, or finishing what you started. Not to prove anything, but to remember that you are someone who follows through. Discipline doesn't arrive with lightning. It's built in repetition. In mornings you don't skip. In values you don't betray. In showing up when it's easier to disappear. When the day is long and the way unclear, discipline is how you hold the line. And when the storm finally passes, you'll know that it wasn't the weather that shaped your path, it was your will. Number 3, give more than you take. We live in a world that teaches us to accumulate, to gather, to protect, to build walls around what is ours. But Stoicism asks a different question, not what can I get from this day, but what can I give? Picture a river that flows only inward. It becomes a swamp, still and lifeless. But a river that flows outward nourishes the land and gives life wherever it moves. To serve is not to shrink yourself. It is to extend your strength, to live beyond your own needs, and to find meaning in what you offer. Marcus Aurelius said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." That echo is not made of gold or glory. It's made of gestures, of time, of presence. You don't need a stage or an audience or a title to serve, just the willingness to notice where you're needed and to show up fully. A kind word, a steady hand, 5 minutes of your attention. These are not small things. They are the hidden architecture of a meaningful life. When you serve others, you escape the narrow prison of self, and that is where true peace begins. Service reminds you that you are part of something larger, not above others, not beneath them, but among them. And in a world that often feels divided, distracted, and self-centered, every act of service is a quiet act of healing. Want a practice? Today, choose one person and ask nothing from them. Instead, give something simple, a message, a moment, a meal, and expect nothing in return. Not to feel virtuous, but to feel connected. The Stoics knew that fulfillment doesn't come from status, it comes from contribution. And the paradox is this: the more you give, the more whole you feel. Because in giving, you remember who you are, not a consumer of days, but a contributor to life. Let your presence be a gift. Let your day leave something behind. Give more than you take. Number 4, walk softly through the world. There is a quiet strength in those who do not need to prove anything. They move through the world without noise, without armor, without seeking applause, and yet their presence is unmistakable. Imagine a mountain, unmoved by storms, not because it shouts, but because it endures. That is humility. Not a lowering of the self, but a deep knowing of one's place. A calm confidence rooted in awareness, not arrogance. The Stoics never equated humility with weakness. They saw it as the foundation of wisdom. For only those who admit they don't know are free to truly learn. Humility is not about being small. It's about making space for others, for truth, for growth. It is the art of listening before speaking, of observing before judging, of serving without needing to be seen. Think of the leaders who inspired you most. Were they the loudest in the room, or the ones who lifted others quietly? Real strength doesn't announce itself. It moves gently, leaves room, and carries the weight of others with care. When you practice humility, you stop competing and start connecting. You realize there is no race, and no one worth becoming is reached by climbing over others. If you want to cultivate humility, begin here. Catch yourself in the moment before you interrupt, before you explain, before you defend. Breathe. Listen. Let silence do its work. And when praise comes your way, let it pass through you, like wind through trees, not because you don't value it, but because you don't need it. As Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." And humility dares to ask, to fall, to try again. In a world obsessed with appearances, walk softly. Let your depth speak louder than your voice. Let humility be your gravity. Number 5, step into the fire. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, "Stay where it's safe. Don't try, don't speak, don't move." And without realizing it, we begin to shape our lives around what we avoid, not what we love. Picture a door you've never opened, behind it the life you could live, but your hand never reaches the handle. Fear is that quiet hand on your shoulder, convincing you that discomfort is danger. But most fears are not made of substance. They are shadows cast by what we imagine, not what truly is. And the Stoics knew what we fear is often the thing we most need to face. Fear shrinks the world. It narrows your voice, stiffens your spine, clouds your vision. But every time you take a step toward it, the world opens again. Not because the fear disappears, but because you do not let it decide. Imagine someone afraid of water. For years they avoid it, but one day they walk slowly into the sea. The waves are cold, their breath quickens, but they keep going. And suddenly they are floating, not because they conquered fear, but because they entered it. That is courage, not the absence of fear, but the refusal to obey it. If you want to practice this, start small. Speak when you'd rather stay silent. Try something new without needing to be perfect. Name the fear, write it down, and then do one thing that contradicts it. Not to destroy it, but to build yourself larger than it. Epictetus reminded us, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" The best is not comfort, it is expansion. And fear is the edge you must cross. So don't avoid the fire. Step into it, slowly, steadily, and watch who you become on the other side. Number 6, stand where you are. The world will often ask you to prove yourself, to perform, to achieve, to become someone greater than who you are right now. But what if the real journey isn't about becoming, but remembering that you are already enough, not finished, not flawless, but enough to begin, enough to stand, enough to keep walking. Picture a tree growing in silence, not rushing, not comparing, not needing approval, yet rising all the same, rooted deeply in who it is. That is self-belief. Not noise, not pride, but a steady trust in your own soil. The Stoics knew that external victories are fragile, but inner conviction cannot be stolen. You will fall short. You will fail, stumble, doubt, forget why you started. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The measure of belief is not how loudly you speak, but how often you rise quietly after being knocked down. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times to invent the light bulb, and yet said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He kept going, not because he was fearless, but because he trusted his path more than he feared the outcome. You too have that within you. Not always loud, but always there. Want to build that faith? Begin with the way you speak to yourself. Change. "I can't" to "I'm learning." Change "it's too late" to "it's not over." Write it, say it, live it. Not to convince the world, but to remind yourself. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. So don't let the day shape your worth. Let your worth shape the day. No title, no praise, no permission is required to believe in yourself. Stand where you are, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. And from here you move forward. Number 7, where life actually happens. We spend so much time chasing what's next and carrying what's behind that we rarely notice where we are. The present moment, the only one we ever truly have, slips by, quietly, while we rehearse the past and rehearse for the future. Imagine standing in a beautiful garden, but your eyes are fixed on a distant mountain or a door that won't open, and so you miss the flower blooming at your feet. That's how most of us live, just slightly out of reach from now. But the Stoics knew peace lives only in this breath, this heartbeat, this step. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but in his private reflections, he wrote not of conquest, but of presence. He reminded himself again and again to return to what's in front of him, not what might happen or should have happened, but what is. When we're present, everything deepens, the way we eat, speak, love, walk. The ordinary becomes sacred, not because it changed, but because we were finally paying attention. The morning light on your hands, the voice of someone you love, the stillness between tasks, these are not detours from life. They are life. Want to practice presence? Start by slowing down. Breathe before you respond. Look someone in the eyes without needing to say anything clever. Taste your coffee instead of rushing through it. Be where your feet are. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And when you're fully present, you want less, because what you have is already complete. This moment, not tomorrow, not someday, is where life actually happens. Don't miss it. Number 8. What you speak, you become. Every morning, the first words you say, especially the ones no one hears, begin to shape the story of your day. Not just what you say to others, but the quiet language you use with yourself. Imagine planting seeds each time you speak. Some will bloom into strength, others into doubt. And what grows depends entirely on the words you choose. The Stoics understood that our thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs become behavior, and that language is the bridge between them. So what are you telling yourself when no one is listening? This isn't about fake optimism or ignoring struggle. It's about choosing a lens that helps you respond, not just react. Saying, "I'll figure it out," instead of, "I can't do this," or "This is hard, but I'm still here," instead of, "I'm failing." Words don't erase pain, but they can hold it with strength. They can guide it, shape it, and carry you through it. Think of J.K. Rowling, rejected, broken, alone, but still saying to herself, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." It wasn't magic that changed her life. It was belief, repeated in words, again and again. And belief begins with how we speak. Want to change your life? Start by changing your internal dialogue. In the morning, speak one true, kind sentence to yourself before the world says anything else. Something like, "I'm not perfect, but I'm trying," or "Today I will give my best, even if it's small." Then share that tone with others. Compliment more, judge less, ask instead of assume. Words are not decoration. They are tools, they are builders, and they are mirrors. As the Stoics might say, guard your speech, for it reflects the shape of your soul. What you speak, you become. So speak wisely, and speak with care. Number 9. Dream with your eyes open. Every morning there's a question waiting for you beneath the surface, quiet but constant. What are you moving toward? Not what you owe or what you fear, but what you long for. A dream isn't just a distant vision. It's a compass buried inside you, pointing toward the life that feels true. Imagine carrying a flame through a cold world. It flickers, it dims, but it never goes out. That's your dream. And the Stoics believed to live without direction is to waste not just time, but your very essence. A dream doesn't have to be loud to be real. It just has to be yours. You don't need the world's approval to begin. You need courage, the kind that whispers, "Even if it's difficult, even if no one sees, I will still move forward." Think of the unknown artist who painted for years without applause. She didn't stop because no one noticed. She continued because her soul did. Her dream was not fame. It was expression, honesty, depth. And in time, that truth found its place in the world. Your dream will too, if you carry it with care. Want to reconnect with it? Each morning before the noise arrives, ask yourself one thing. Why am I really doing this? Not the surface reason, but the reason beneath the reason. Write it down, revisit it. Let it guide your decisions, even the smallest ones. And if the dream evolves, let it. Growth is not betrayal, it is refinement. As Seneca said, if you don't know which harbor you're sailing to, no wind is favorable. Your dream is that harbor. It gives shape to your time, weight to your choices, and meaning to the struggle. So don't just dream at night. Dream with your eyes open, and let that dream shape the way you live. Number 10. Begin again every morning. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to be fearless, or wise, or ready. You only need to be willing to wake up and begin again. Each morning is a quiet invitation, not from the world, but from life itself, asking, what kind of person will you be today? You don't have to answer with noise. Answer with presence, with intention, with small acts that echo your values. The Stoics never promised that life would be easy, only that it could be lived well. And to live well is not to avoid difficulty, but to meet it with clarity, with calm, with courage. This is not a philosophy for scholars. It's for people who wake up tired, for people who fall and rise, who try again. You don't need to escape the world to live like a Stoic. You only need to return, again and again, to what you can control: your mind, your choices, your response. And that return begins each morning in silence before the world speaks. If this message stays with you, let it grow. Like breath at the start of the day, quiet but alive. If you found peace in these words, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, not for metrics, but to keep this reflection close when you need it most. And share it if it might help someone you care about. But above all, remember, no matter where you are or what yesterday looked like, you can begin again every morning with stillness, with strength, with purpose.